Hey book besties, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Kyin and this is Kyin is Booked. I am hyped because we are kicking off KyinJuly with my favorite books of the year so far. So this is going to be January through June, and then at the end of the year I will do July through December, because obviously we're not through the month of July yet and I'm not sure if I've read my favorite book or not. So I went ahead and just it's 12 months, so I just went ahead and halved it. Not that I felt like I had to explain that, but anyways, today we're going to be talking about, obviously these are 5-star reads, so I'm not going to go into the star rating, and I'm going to do like kind of a little bit of a synopsis, but I am going to try really hard not to spoil it because there's only one book on here that I haven't read all the available books for. And I really don't want to spoil the series for anybody because I really honestly think that you should read every single one of these books. And let me tell you why. So the first book we're going to talk about, and the book that is my January favorite book, is Hans by KyinJuly. I had the best time reading the Alliance series, and I think everybody should read it because it's just chaotic fun, and I love the Alliance gentlemen, and their ladies are wonderful as well, but there's just something like so funny within their chaos. And they're a group of essentially mafia men, and they kind of operate like in the mafia, but also like in the upper rich society. Hans is our contract killer, and normally he likes to work alone, but he has like done some jobs for the Alliance before, right? So we enter his book. He has a neighbor across the street, and she's been trying to kind of like get to know him. She might have a tiny crush on him, right? So she bakes him these like really horrible baked goods and like writes him a note and like leaves a Tupperware on his doorstep, and he'll like eat the horrible goods and like think about how horrible they are, and he keeps all of her post-it notes like together, like on his, like, I think it's like on his nightstand if I remember correctly. So he has this like weird fascination with like being the only one who can eat her baked goods, even though like they're really not that good, right? So anyway, it's kind of their thing. Excuse me. So it's kind of their thing. And I thought it was like super cute, but like what I like most about him is that like he tried really hard, obviously, to keep her from his world because like he has a lot of people who are after him, but people have slowly started to realize like what she means to him, and he's just like, okay, cool, whatever, she's mine. And then he proceeds to make her his. And I don't know, there was just like something about him, like just, I don't want to say like demanding, but just so sure and possessive and protective and like all those things that like I know and love in a hero, and Hans had it like to a T. I absolutely loved him. He's definitely my favorite in the series, but I've read all of them, loved all of them, so I highly recommend them. My favorite book of February was actually a book club pick. So Jess and I have a book club, The Good, the Bad, the Smutty, always linked below in the description box. However, we read Vicious Bonds by Shanora Williams. I have read both of the books available at this point, and book 3 comes out in August, so really excited about that one. So this follows Willow and Kaz, and I'm going to attempt to kind of give you a synopsis of this without also giving away what I know, having read the second book. So one day, they're kind of like talking to each other in their minds, but they don't realize who it, like they're not, they think that like they're just kind of going crazy, right? And then all of a sudden she just falls into his world and he pulls a gun on her, right? And she's like, who the are you? And he's like, oh, I'm the monarch of Blackwater. And she's like, what are you talking about? Right? So she's kind of fallen into another realm, and it turns out that they have this like bond between the two of them that allows them to like hear each other's thoughts, right? But nobody can tell them why they can hear each other's thoughts. And she really needs to go back to Earth, but also she needs answers. And like, what's waiting for her? Her ex-boyfriend, who's like a total absolute slug and is like so disrespectful to her and treats her horribly? Or this guy who, yeah, is kind of prickly and she's not really sure if she likes him, and he's kind of possessive and he likes to boss her around, but also he's kind of hot and like she's attracted to him and she likes it better here than on Earth, right? The only thing she truly misses is her best friend who she runs a bookstore. But that's one thing she really misses. And so like you see Willow and Kaz trying to figure out why, because like they shouldn't be able to hear each other's thoughts, right? And so they go on this, I don't want to say quest, like maybe adventure, right? So they go on this adventure to try and figure out why she is, like why they're able to hear this. And slowly a lot of the history of their realm starts to unravel, and we start to understand the bond between the two of them, right? Willow's a baddie. I loved her as a female main character. Kaz, kind of closed off, kind of broody, kind of grumpy, but also like won't let anything happen to our lady, right? And what more could we ask for? My favorite book in the month of March. Come on now. You knew Heather was going to be on this list. I don't know what's up. My allergies are really bad right now, so I like get like a little tickle in the back of my throat. Anyways, this is Wicked Surrender by Heather Long. This is book 4 of the Bay Ridge Royal series. So the Bay Ridge Royal series follows Lainey B, aka Elaine Benedict, and her 4 gentlemen. And you've got Milo, Adam, Ezra, and Bodhi. And they are picking up where the 82nd Street Vandal series kind of left off, and they're trying to figure out within the dredges of the upper echelon of society, like the richest of the rich of the rich, they're trying to untangle where the threats are coming from, why the threats are coming to them, and they're trying to kind of like close down essentially the Bay Ridge Royals, or like run the Bay Ridge Royals out of town and out of business. Mostly because like they're aligned with the Vandals, but also because Adam, Ezra, and Milo were all tapped for the Royals and have worked for the Royals, which really bothered them because like 3 men who love control, who were told to do something, right? Or they had to do it because someone in their family was threatened. So you have them trying to kind of like dismantle it from the inside, but it goes much deeper and the corruption is much larger than anybody expected. So you have the dynamic of them like trying to fight like all of these threats like out on the front lines, but then you also have the dynamic of, well, it was essentially going to be Milo and Lainey, but then all of a sudden it was Milo, Lainey, Bodhi, maybe Adam and Ezra because they finally got their business together, but like, are they all going to be able to function as a unit? Like, are they all going to be able to get along? So it's like also the dynamic of creating a family. That's how Lainey refers to them as, creating their family and creating like, you know, the relationship and the world that they're going to be living in together. And there are just so many things. Like I could honestly sit here and talk about this series for a while because it does tie back to the Vandals, and I've been reading since the beginning. So there's just so many things that happen in the series, and specifically in this book, that they're a long time coming, y'all. And we've been waiting for some of these moments for a bit. So like just the satisfaction of all that built up tension to finally have somewhere to release. I mean, I adore this series, and I have absolutely loved the ride that we've been on with Lainey B and her gentlemen. And it's just, there's just something so intriguing about rich people drama. And if you love rich people drama, this series gives you rich people drama on drama. And I love it. My favorite book in April was The Longing of Lone Wolves. So this is the first book in Lana Petrachek's Fae Guardian series. And a brief overview of the entire series is there's a well of magic, and Fae Guardians are blessed by the well as protectors of the realm, right? And that magic system obviously makes them like more powerful warriors. They're able to ward off like the monsters that are coming after people and just kind of like keep the peace between the villages, right? So we're 1,000 years in the future when we meet up with Rush. And Rush has been cursed because some stuff happened and nobody's been able to see him for 100 years at this point. And Clark is a female who has woken up. So like she was essentially frozen and she has defrosted 1,000 years into the future. She's defrosted. And she's in a world that she doesn't understand, and Rush comes to her rescue, and she's the only one who can see Rush. So he's like, hey, I need you to go. I need you to help me find my son. I want to be able to talk to him, and like, you're going to be the one who's going to be able to talk to him, right? But there's a prophecy, because isn't there always a prophecy, right? There's a prophecy, right? And the leader of the Fae Guardians, she says that Clark was sent to them in the future to jumpstart. She's a seer, essentially, so she herself can see the future, right? So Clark defrosted at this specific time for a well-blessed mating between her and Rush in order to jumpstart them saving the world as they know it. So the way the series is broken down is the first 3 books follow our wolves. The second 3 books follow our vamps, aka vampires, and the final 3 follow our elves. Now, there are 12 guardians, so I'm making the assumption that there'll be 12 books in the series eventually. But as of right now, we only have 9 books because the last elf book is out and we haven't started with the crow shifters yet. So I really like the magic system and the world building in here. Like, you know, I kind of always like the idea of like, okay, well, if Earth didn't exist, like what would it look like? So I really like the vision that the author had for kind of like the world and like the magic systems. And there are still humans, but there's a human colony and all the humans live in that human colony. And you don't see many humans interacting with like the shifters and the Fae, because the shifters and the Fae don't treat humans very well because humans destroyed the world 1,000 years ago, right? Somebody launched an atomic bomb and it destroyed everything. So I think it's an interesting dynamic. Listen, you know, if you've been around me for like a minute, then you know that I absolutely love wolf shifters. Like, wolves are my jam. And there's just something about Rush, like, you know, he's a dad, he's a guardian, he's possessive, he's protective. He notices like the bond happening. So that the well-blessed mating is, it means the magic system blesses their bond, like their mating. And it's the highest level of like fated mates possible within the system. And I just love the fact that like Rush knew exactly what was happening, and like he kind of tries to explain it to Clark, but like she doesn't get it. And the more time she spends with him and the more time she spends in the system, like in the magic system and like in this world, she's like, oh, like this is a big deal. And Rush is like, yeah, girl, I'm in love with you. So I loved this. I really also too like loved the fact that he was finally able to like talk to his son and like work some things out with him, because, you know, his son was born and then he was cursed. So he's never had the opportunity to be there to support his son. And those like dad son moments were like really sweet. So absolutely love this one. In May, I read Always Only You by Chloe Leese. And this is book 2 in the Bergman Brothers series. And this follows Ren and Frankie. And number one, I've read 2 Chloe Leese books. I've read book 1 and book 2 in the Bergman Brothers series. I really appreciate her disability rep. And I really appreciate how, you know, we are kind of like pushing the envelope. I don't want to say pushing the envelope, but she's like opening the door to allow people to be seen in books, right? So, you know, we have a young lady who, Frankie, who has like really built this like very structured, very specific world for herself, because like, you know, she knows she's on the spectrum and she has to still be able to function in everyday life, right? So she's on the spectrum, but also too, she has, she has a diagnosis, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it is right now. But if I remember, I'll put it right here, but I really can't. So it's a type of arthritis, because I know she struggles like in cooler climates. So that's why she's moved her like life completely out to California, like warmer climate, easier for her body to handle. You know, a lot of people think she's just like socially awkward, but like that kind of also kind of ties in with like her being on the spectrum. And Ren has had like the biggest crush on her for the longest time. And I would kind of title this as like an office, like workplace romance as well, because she's a social media coordinator for the hockey team that he plays on. So also a hockey romance. We love to see it. And I just really love the way that like Ren recognizes that Frankie's attracted him, and he knows that she's attracted to her, but he also understands that like she's not ready for that yet, that she needs time to kind of come to terms with that, and she needs time to like process like hey, Frankie, I like you, giving her time to process that. And then like, I want to spend time with you, giving her time to process that. So like, he's really respectful of like the boundaries that she doesn't even really realize that like she's put up for him. And I don't know, like, I love them. I think they're like the cutest little couple ever. And I love their little like nerdy date nights. And I love like the sweet things they say to each other. Like, I'm just trash for Rin and Frankie, like Rin and Frankie for life. Okay. Okay. June. So I just finished this series. Okay. Blood and Steel by Helen Schuer. I'm obsessed with this series. I honestly, like, I finished reading it and I want nothing more than to buy the hardbacks, obviously, so I can have them, and I want to annotate them, and I want to be back in this world so much. Like, I want to be back with Thea, and I want to be back with her and like her sister Ren and all of our ward swords and Wilder Hawthorne. If that man has no fans, he has me. Okay? Women are not allowed to be warriors because of a prophecy that 20 years prior, there's a prophecy that said that a woman who holds a sword and the daughter of darkness will unite, and she will essentially be the end of the world as they know it, right? So Thea has done nothing her entire life but want to be a female warrior, want to be a ward sword. And a ward sword is essentially like a guardian of the realms, and they go around like fighting the monsters. They have like magic in their corner. They're an enhanced warrior essentially, right? So she petitions the kings and the queens, and they're like, no, right? And then kind of a situation happens. They change their mind. She starts training, right? Well, Wilder Hawthorne is one of the most notorious ward swords to ever be a ward sword. He is the Hand of Death. That's his nickname. He is a Hand of Death. He is a, like, think about like essentially the most like efficient warrior out there. Somebody who is driven, somebody who is focused, somebody who is their belief, like they truly believe in their soul that they are protecting the realms, right? And that is who Wilder Hawthorne is. So she, they obviously like go and they go to like the king of the queen, ask blah, blah, blah. And they're on this like, they're on the trip back, and she goes, like, I really want you to be my mentor. Like, I want you to teach me. Like, I will be the first female ward sword ever, right? Like, she's like, I will achieve this. And the tension, the angst, the enemies to lovers, the realizing that he's been helping her the entire time. Like, I am not even joking. The third book made me cry. So anyways, Blood and Steel is the first book of the Legends of Thesmar, and this is a 4-book series. It is complete. It is so good. I will be screaming about this series probably for the rest of the year. I will not rest until I have literally pushed all of my friends into reading it. And like I said, if Wilder Hawthorne has no fan, he has me, okay? I highly recommend this series. Like, I loved how driven and independent and focused she was. Like, she was like, I will achieve this. Like, it was everything. And okay, we're getting ended on that. So anyways, Blood and Steel by Helen Schuer, The Legends of Thesmar. I can't recommend this series enough. It was so good. And yeah, so that was my June. That was my favorite book of June. And you'll have to come back in December to see what my other 6 favorite books of the year were. But I hope you enjoyed our first installment of KyinJuly. I'm really, really excited to do this. I'm really excited to post all my videos. I have a lot of really fun content planned. So if you haven't already subscribed, I would love to have you as a subscriber. And as always, my book besties, I will catch you in the next video. Bye.